found out some other problems too. Can anybody think of some of the other problems that we had when we talk about English as a second language? Any other problems? We talked about how Cesar Chavez was punished. We said barrio boy. Some people when they used to come to the United States, those that are not bilingual need to learn English as a second language. And sometimes when they meet some of the American people, they have some preconceived ideas about how those Americans act, and how do people usually come up with what we call stereotypes. Can anybody remember what a stereotype is, Bernard?
Stereotypes like a person who judges another person by different acts and skin color and stuff.
Right, so in other words, what else do you want to add to it, Sean?
A stereotype also is like a person judging one group as the same thing as if one group had went out of Rob Blake, you would say that whole group had something to do with it.
Is that right? Does everybody agree with those two? Very good. So, in Barrio Boy, did Ernesto Galarza have any stereotypical views of anybody in his life when we read his autobiography? Can anybody think of one, Shante?
Yeah, he had thought all tall people was mean.
He thought all tall people were mean. And what tall person was he talking about in there? Let me see, I haven't heard from you, Andy.
The principal of the school.
The principal of the school. How did he describe her?
Real tall, like a giant. And looked like she said she was mean.
So he felt that because she was tall and like a giant that she was mean, right? So what kind of interpretation does that give you of Ernesto Galarza? How would you interpret, what would you think about him? Why do you think he felt that way?
Because he was like short.
Because he was a short guy? And what else?
He was scared.
And he was afraid. And what did he have anything else, Jason, to go on?
Oh, maybe he might have had a couple confrontations with tall people.
Good point. He may have had a couple of confrontations with tall people, and he just sort of thought they were all the same, huh? Shante, what did you want to add?
And probably didn't understand their language.
And that's another thing. If you don't understand the language, does that sometimes sort of get you feeling different? Some people feel very uncomfortable when they're around a language that they haven't heard before. Anybody in here feel like that? Have you ever been around people in another group talking and you don't understand what they're saying and you feel sort of uncomfortable? Did that happen to you, Jason?
Yeah, that was my aunt in Texas.
In Texas? What language were they speaking?
Spanish.
They were speaking Spanish? And you felt very uncomfortable? Okay, well, you students in the group, I want you to think about this and reflect on this too. Why do you think that Jason felt uncomfortable when he was around Spanish-speaking people? Let me see, have I heard from everybody in here? Let me go back to Bernard again.
Because he didn't know how to speak the Spanish language, and he couldn't say nothing to like get in the conversation.
Okay, so he felt bad just because you think that he probably felt bad because he couldn't get in the conversation. What do you think, John?
Well, I think he might have been a little scared or something. They could be talking with him. Also, he might feel uncomfortable just being around people that he doesn't know or understand.
Yeah, those are very good points, too. Where do we usually get our ideas of stereotypes from? How do we usually form stereotypes? Think about it. Jason?
Confrontations that we've already had.
Confrontations that we've already had. And what else, Teresa?
The way they act or what.
The way people act or look. And what, Bernard, what did you want to
And
add?
their skin color, their tone of
Skin color. Yes, Angela?
And if they're different from what they look like.
And if they're different than what you look like, right? Okay, do you think that babies are born, this stereotypical view of people is something that's inbred? In other words, when you're born, are you already, let me say, prejudiced against different people in different groups?
No.
No? Okay, well then how do you learn that then? Jonathan?
Well, you might hang around people that do that, or your parents might do it. And your parents or family might be like that too.
Okay, that's good points. Did everybody hear what he said?
Yeah.
Okay, so what could you do, what are you going to do in the future to make sure that your children have a total view and judge people on individual characteristics? Let me see. Angela, I haven't heard from you.
By telling them what's right.
And what do you mean by telling them what's right? How do you do that? What do you
Tell them
mean?
the truth. Tell them how Mexicans and all different sorts of people really act and how they feel and stuff.
You said tell them how other people act and how they feel? Okay, what else can you tell them, Bernard?
Teach them to like hang around with colored people.
To hang around with colored people or people that are of color? What else, Jonathan?
You tell them to hang around with all kind of people and see how they treat you. If they don't treat you in a way that you don't like, then they ain't your friends like that.
All right, Kevin?
Tell them not to judge them by the color of their skin.
Okay, and what else, Jason?
I wouldn't hold a grudge against just any other race because something bad happened to me by one of them.
Okay, and why do you say you wouldn't do that? Can anybody tell me why you think he's making that decision right now? Why do you think that Jason is making that decision that he's not gonna judge a whole group of people by one thing that happened to him? Andy?
Because one person, he is mean, but the rest of people are too nice. Just because one person did wrong, doesn't mean that all of them are bad.
Okay, that's a very good point too. Can you think again about something else that you probably maybe some stereotypical views that you may have had? I'm getting back to Mexican Americans now. First of all, we talked about Mexican Americans because what? It was the what? Why did we choose to focus on that, Teresa?
Because they're over half the population of the United States.
Right, they're over half the population, and they're the largest Hispanic population too in the United States, right? Okay, and somebody needs to tell us what a Mexican is when we talk about a Mexican. Jason?
It's a Indian woman who's married to a Spanish explorer and they have an Indian baby. Or a Mexican baby.
And we say, and then that's how we say Mexican, right?
Yeah.
Okay, another thing I was gonna ask you, what about some preconceived ideas when we were talking about stereotypes? What are some stereotypical views that people may have had of Mexican Americans? I'm talking about right now that don't really know their history. Jonathan?
A lot of them think they're just like, they make minimum wage and they all work in the fields and stuff and work at fast food places and stuff.
Right. Okay, and what else, Jason?
That they all came in the United States illegally.
And that they all came to the United States illegally. Any other stereotypical views that anybody's heard? Okay, but what do you know? What do you know that's different than that? Yes?
That they came to work in America in World War II when there was a labor shortage.
There was a labor shortage, you're right. And who else can tell us about when Mexican Americans were invited to come to the United States? Lakeisha?
During World War II, the U.S. implemented the Bracero program, and due to the war there was a labor shortage, and Braceros, or Mexican workers, were brought to the U.S. to work, and usually agricultural.
Okay, when she's saying agriculture, what is she talking about? Farming, right, okay. So that's a good point. Is there anything else? What else? Is there anything else that you found that you were surprised to find out or that you thought was most interesting? Kevin?
That is an early part of the century, and in the 1920s, that the Americans brought in Mexicans to provide cheap labor in the fields and factories, because Americans couldn't afford to pay their regular workers, and the Mexicans were a lot cheaper. And a lot of the enclaves were created in Chicago and Detroit.
Okay, very good. Anything else? Anybody want to add anything else to that? Okay, let's think of another aspect. Any other thing? What else do you want to talk about? Anything else that you were surprised? Anything else that you thought was interesting?
Their
Teresa?
food,
The food. What about the food?
they had all sorts of different kinds of food.
You found out that they ate all sorts of different foods. Well, what did you think before?
They just ate burritos and tacos.
Burritos and tacos every day. You thought that was the same meal every day. Like some people think Americans just eat hot dogs and hamburgers every day, right? Okay, Jason, what did you want to add?
Pretty much the same thing she said, but they also eat the same foods that we do.
And they also eat the same foods that we do. And so what does that tell you in general about Mexican Americans? How do you sum it all up, Shante?
That they share their ideas.
They share their ideas, that's good. What else, Angela?
They're just like us.
They're just like us, and what else? Jonathan?
Well, there's just that there are a lot of their part of their culture is a lot like ours, but then they have a lot of things that are different.
Good. A lot of it is like ours, and some things are different. So that brings us right back to the United States. And what do we have here in the United States? How's the United States set up? How's it made up? What do we have here? Andy?
All different kinds of people.
Different kinds of people with different what? What else, Jason?
Different cultures,
Cultures, and what else?
religion,
Religion, and what else, Lakeisha?
languages.
And languages. That's right. Is there anything that anybody else wants to add that we haven't even talked about yet? Answer.
About the pinata.
About the pinata? Okay, tell us, what about the pinata?
Well,
I
I
find it
like.
interesting.
Well, I like how you bust it and a bunch of candy comes out.
How you do what to it?
When you bust it and all the candy comes out, and just have a lot of fun with it.
Right, and Angela did make a nice pinata. Did everybody see that pinata that she made up there? So Monday, when we do our final taping, of our program, we're going to come in here and break that pinata. As a matter of fact, we had two, because Krista bought one for us today, as a matter of fact. And we'll break the pinata. We've got, how do we decide who breaks the pinata?
You gotta,
Go ahead.
well, this is the way I was gonna do it. You could put all the names in there, right, and then draw it. But I don't know
Put
how.
all the names in the bag and draw names, what do you?
Or another way is you could like give everybody a chance and blindfold them and make them hit it.
That's the way they usually blindfold.
I know, that's what I was talking about, but you know, go first.
But
But, so she means that even though we blindfold, we still draw the names out to
Yeah.
see who goes first. Is that how you wanna do it?
Yeah.
And it's a song you can sing with that too, but.
Okay, could you share it with us?
I don't know the song by heart.
Oh, okay. Does anybody know the song that goes with it? So we said pinatas are basically used when? When are they basically used?
Celebration of festivals.
Celebration of festivals. Some people even now use them at birthdays. A lot of American people don't they? Angela?
That's also the same.
Okay. I want you to think, and you can buzz with the person next to you for a couple of minutes. Is there anything else you want to share about Hispanic heritage? Bernard?
They have like on weddings they do this little dance between two couples to see who could tie the knot in their little band.
Right. And did you see any examples of that?
Yeah, at a dance we had downstairs.
Okay, that was really beautiful to see, wasn't it? Angela?
They have a lot of, I like their clothes and their costumes.
What do you like best about the clothes and the costumes?
Well, like, a lot of them are colorful and their blankets are.
Right, they're very colorful, aren't they? And we had some examples here. I think some people in here bought blankets. And I know Angela bought dresses. Ricky bought blankets and a sombrero too, didn't you?
No, up on the poncho.
Oh, I mean, oh yeah, right, you bought the ponchos, the one that's up there. But the other people in here, I think it was Paul bought the sombreros and Angela bought a lot of things too.